David Andrew Weeb, founder of Spark Infinity niche-based Facebook group. David, what is going on in Spark Infinity?
Spark Infinity has been growing pretty rapidly since January. We started with literally 4 or 5 members, now to well over 1,400 people, serving creatives and creators, poets, artists, visual artists, musicians, actors, actresses.
What should members of Spark Infinity be prepared for? What are the live shows about?
We like to interview people and get a sense of who they are, the kind of things they do, highlight them, and especially their amazingness, their personality, their superpowers, whatever makes them great. That's what we like to highlight in those conversations.
So how could members of Spark Infinity also benefit from Bump Global?
For one thing, there are so many amazing heart-centered founders of various niche-based Facebook groups that if you wanted to be interviewed, you could just put yourself in the middle of the storm and find all kinds of groups to be featured in and interviewed in all day long. And the other thing is, if they have the desire and the work ethic to build their own niche-based Facebook group and blow it up, that's another opportunity that's waiting for them. And I only see things growing from there.
Spark Infinity, how are you? As you know, I usually try to summon my greatest sense of enthusiasm whenever I come on these live streams. And don't worry, I am feeling good. But what I'm about to express, it should be said is coming from an authentic place and in the interest of being more authentic and expressed. Because at the end of the day, keeping things bottled up doesn't work. And things need to find their expression. Of course, we need to be mindful of where we're expressing them, of course, as well. But sometimes things that need to be said just need to be said. So here's the situation that made me pretty angry for a hot minute there, a little bit earlier. Not been angry all day. I felt that emotion and felt it for as much long as I could, or as much as I could. And it was done. I released it. I detached. I let go. I'm not angry right now. But lack of consideration. This bothers me. I think I've said before that poor communication is one of my pet peeves. Compared to zero mindfulness and zero thoughtfulness, poor communication really doesn't register on the radar. And the situation is this. My car's blocked in. And our lovely neighbors over here have decided, for whatever reason, without really being aware, clearly not mindful of the situation, I'm moving out this week. And guess what? I've got until the 30th. I have helpers coming. I have cleaners coming. As you can guess, the next couple of days are kind of important. I'm not stressed out about this move. It's going to work out. I don't have that much stuff to move over at this point, but there are a few things that need to get done. But no, Thursday night, perfect time for a party, perfect time to invite a bunch of people and block my effing car. That made me mad. All right. So, in the interest of being authentic, that's what's been happening. But I've collected myself, and I'm present, and I'm here. And what we got going today, because I have been thinking up new event ideas for Thursday nights. Thursday nights are back, kind of in a different capacity at this particular moment in time, but nevertheless, they are back because it's really important that we set at least once a week a time that's predictable when we show up and bring you something. And so one of the things that, well, let me get to that. So tonight is Music Business Talk, and this is the first one. I'm doing the first one we've ever done. If it goes well, if people enjoy it, we'll do more of them. That's the idea. And I think because of my recent interview with Scott Kirby and his friend Eric Rodriguez, I'm pretty sure it's Rodriguez. So Eric and Scott, and thanks for being on the show, by the way, that was great. We definitely had a lot of talk about the current music industry and really some of the challenges that are facing artists. Like, very much the industry as we know it today would not exist without many of the celebrity artists and maybe even some artists who are not celebrities. But the reality is absolutely that who is making the income, who's making the cash, the steady dough from all this work? Well, labels tend to take anywhere from 80 to 99%. And they're not exactly known for doing things. I think they do some things on the promotion side and they do some things on the law side. But bottom line is, in many ways, labels aren't doing anything that would necessarily justify all of that profit flowing to them. It would almost make sense if it was just flipped around. If artists got 80, 90% of the income and labels got 10 to 20%. That would almost make more sense based on the difference artists have made. Now, we have to give labels credit to the effect that they know what's going to be marketable. And yet, in some ways, it doesn't exactly take a rocket scientist to figure that out, right? We know that sex sells, and they've used that. They know that horror or like bizarre things sell. Well, Marilyn Manson, Lady Gaga, they've used that. They know that good-looking people can kind of help sell different aspects of culture and clothing and apparel and various aspects of image. So they've utilized and exploited virtually every known tactic that doesn't exactly require a rocket scientist to figure out. That's the industry. Those are some of the realities. There are good things happening in the industry too. At least I believe that. But there are a lot of things that would make most people go, I didn't know it was that scary. And it really kind of can be when you look deeper into it. But that's the industry. That's not the music business. And so this is really the biggest distinction that I want to talk about tonight. This is almost like setting the stage. Now, I still want to invite people on, or at least give people the option of joining the live stream. So let me put that in the links. And if you have any questions about the music business, if you just like to have a back and forth conversation about the music business, you're more than welcome to join. Okay, join the live stream now to ask questions about the music biz or be a part of the conversation. There's the link, so let me post that first and foremost to YouTube. I am going to post that to Facebook as well. Give me a moment to do that. And I'll probably put the link in the ticker tape too. It's so good that I'm thinking about this stuff in advance, isn't it? No, I mean, this is how live streams go. So yeah, here we go. Post it in Facebook. Done deal. And let me just grab that link now and put it in the ticker tape as well. Ticker tape. Here we go. Join the stream to share your thoughts now. There we go. This will probably be a shorter stream, just given if there's no one participating in the discussion. We'll see. The other factor being, and you know what, I actually do feel better now, but earlier I was feeling so tired that, well, I should preface this. I'm actually feeling great today. I'm feeling a lot better than I was earlier in the week because I was a little bit under the weather. All good now. But because of being under the weather, I lost a bunch of sleep one night. Without giving you a lot of details, I kept the bathroom close. So, but I'm feeling much better now. I'm feeling much better at this point, which is great. But yeah, because of the sleep, my mind just wasn't working as well as I usually expected to. It could also be that I haven't been eating quite enough today. I'm correcting that as I go. But I'm feeling better now. I'm feeling sharper now. So everything's good. So let's get into this topic of the music business. And again, you can join this stream. The link is in the ticker tape. It should be in the chats as well on YouTube and Facebook. And if you want to come on and ask some questions or just participate in the discussion, as usual, more than happy to have you, because Spark Infinity is a place where we spotlight and highlight others and creating those types of opportunities. And this is just another one of those opportunities. So I described the music industry earlier, and we need to contrast that a bit with what we're terming or defining as the music business. And even I was not aware of this distinction at different points. I would not have thought it significant, but it kind of is. The music business is individual. It's mostly built around individuals. Now it can encompass some companies or organizations, but we're largely referring to the independent sector. People who are choosing to be part of music in some capacity, certainly artists and like independent artists, because they want to be. And the music business is where the opportunity is for most independents. In other words, partnering with labels or affiliating with labels or getting signed by a label or trying to work some kind of deal with distributors or some of these bigger companies, organizations, is next to impossible. It's difficult. It happens. It's not that it doesn't happen. People think stuff like Chance the Rapper just happened because he's just so good. That's not it. Macklemore, Ron Lewis, same thing. That's not it. They may not have had a label, but they had label support. Okay. And those types of deals sometimes could happen, but I would say they're pretty much as rare as getting signed to the label, which is already rare, because they're looking for a certain type of individual who can perform a certain type of task and maintain a certain type of image that they're supposed to fit into. It's not like they're selecting people and going, you be you and go out and enjoy yourself. Predominantly, that's not what's happening. They're taking individuals, putting them into a role that they can play, like an actor or actress, and getting them to do what they want them to do because they know it's marketable or they know it's sellable. So that's predominantly what's happening in the industry. In music business, there's an opportunity to act with agency. It's not about having someone tell you what to do like a boss, right? If you get a label, if you sign a deal, you have a boss. You have an obligation. You have a contract. Here's what we want you to do. And in many cases, it's a short-term contract, and there's no guarantees that it's going to be renewed. There are no guarantees that it's going to pay out or succeed in many cases. Nowadays, they don't sign acts unless they see potential for success, but there's still no guarantees given all the other factors. So in the music business, people do and can act with agency. They are their own bosses. They set their own hours. They decide what to do. They decide who to partner with. It makes sense. If you're a musician and you want to play gigs, this is my experience. Maybe yours is different. But people generally go out and go to open mics, or they look at the entertainment magazines, or they look at online forums to figure out who's playing where. And then they kind of like narrow down the list. Like they'll make a list of all the places and they're like, well, we're an artist or a band that's just getting started. I think we're not immediately going to play at these casinos, going to be able to, unless they see things like singer-songwriter circles happening in casinos, in which case they might go, maybe I could find a way to participate in that if I'm a singer-songwriter, for example. So you just kind of, by process of elimination, and I would really advise most artists kind of do their homework too and legwork too, and go out there and actually check out the venue and shake some hands, say hi. Who do I talk to if I'd like to book a show here? What kind of artists play here? What sort of artists or what sort of acts seem to work best in this venue? Go out there, shake some hands, do the legwork, and figure out what's what. This is a far quicker and surer way, most of the time, of getting a gig. Some cases, yes, people prefer phone calls, or they prefer emails, or they prefer texts. And that might be more so your foot in the door. But knowing the scene is sort of like the beginning for most independent artists acting with agency. That's been my experience of for myself, and as well as people that I've worked with. Independent artists can work with other independent artists. You could become the opening act for another band that is currently touring. You could work on an album together, like maybe create a new project. You can collaborate or work together to find a sponsor. So different opportunities exist when you're willing to look for them and being mindful of them. Artists do tend to work independently a lot of the time, but that's not the reason they should be or are called independent artists, right? So working independently is actually going to, in most cases, will hinder your growth. It's going to stop you from getting to where you want to go. Now, you have to be mindful of your goals too. Do you want to tour the world? Do you want to make a good income? And sometimes those two things are not even correlated. Do you just want to write songs and play a few shows and enjoy yourself, or play a few open mics and just have fun? So those type of things are going to dictate your actions and who you connect with and the actions you take. But it's important to be mindful that when you are the agent, you are acting with agency. You have to choose what it is you're going to want to work towards, and the steps you must take to get there. Nothing really happens on a hope and a prayer. Now, it's not that I don't believe good things can happen just by meditating or praying, but it has to be coming from the right mindset, or else it's not going to be effective. If I'm sitting here going out of desperation, gee, it'd be really nice to book a paying gig, versus, well, gigs are available in abundance. They always flow to me. Everything works out for me. That's a different vibration than, oh man, like I could really use a gig right now. Two completely different things. You have to consider too, I mean, it's really important, whether you're an independent artist or you fall into another category, start looking at who your partners are, or who is enthusiastic about music, or who cares about music, or who hosts music, or what events are out there. You got to start looking. There's websites everywhere, right? Like Eventbrite. Look at Eventbrite. What sort of events are happening in your locale? Who could you shake hands with? Who could you say hi to? Outdoor music festival. Maybe that's an opportunity, right? Are there record stores nearby? I know it's kind of a rare thing nowadays, but there still are boutique music stores. They still exist. People tend to like buying vinyl still. So maybe you could go shake some hands there, put up a poster, ask them whether they're looking for any artists to perform or do some kind of signing in-house. You'd want to start looking for, maybe there's independent cafes or coffee houses. There's a lot of different options. Maybe music stores. I used to work at music stores, and weirdly enough, some of them hosted almost spontaneous concerts in spaces where you not expect them to happen, that were actually pretty highly trafficked. We played a Canada Day gig one time in front of a Music Centre Canada in the middle of Airdrie, Alberta. Those kinds of things can and do happen. So creating connections with music stores, and it works the same way too. Like music stores they want to sell lessons, or they want to sell instruments, they should make connections with musicians. Record stores should be connected to music fans. Well, if record stores are connected to music fans and you're an artist looking for music fans, then it makes sense that you'd want to be connected to record stores. And it goes beyond that. You really want to be thinking in terms of like, who is your audience and where do they like to hang out? And if they're the kind of people that like to hang out at bookstores, who knows? Like, bookstores and libraries kind of generally tend to be spaces where people appreciate quietness. Nevertheless, I've played gigs in bookstores. I played multiple gigs at a Chapters in Calgary on McLeod Row. These types of opportunities exist, I'm not necessarily saying that Chapters was like the ideal venue, but the point is I tried it. And one thing that I saw happen and I learned from that experience was, oh wow, look at that. My friends from Southeast Calgary actually came. Whenever I play closer to the north side, they don't come. But when I play in the south side, they do come. So that's one of the things that you can make observations by testing things out rather than treating everything as a failure and success. But I would say, especially pertaining to failures, rather than treating everything as like a failure, treat it as a test, an experiment, and do it a few times, right? Maybe over the course of several months or half a year. If you do everything too close together, it's probably not going to make for a very good test. But you go out and you try these things and you treat it like a test. And it's like, okay, what were, and actually try to track the results of what happens too. Like make notes, make observations, and try to get some statistics. And if you hate math, get a friend, ask your friend and say, hey, could you come to the gig? We'll pay you a little bit of money, or we'll buy you pizza after the show, or we'll go to Denny's with you after the show. Bands, be honest, you do that anyway. And ask them and go like, could you take some statistics and just like count the number of people who come and go and watch the band through the night, and then come away with those statistics after your experiment or your test. And you have to define that. It could be playing a specific venue 3 times. It could be playing a specific venue 6 times. There's different experiments to try, and it doesn't just have to pertain to live performance. It can absolutely pertain to different parts of your career, even releasing singles or releasing albums or releasing EPs. That's a test. Which one seems to work best for your band? Which one do audiences listen to? So, but yeah, get someone who's, if you're not good at math, you don't want to do this stuff, find someone who will do that for you and keeps track of numbers, and then gather all that information, all your observations, everything you noticed, all the statistics, everything you got. Look them over and say, did this experiment work? And you're going to start to be able to make comparisons. If you try a bunch of experiments, not just one, a singular experiment is only going to give you so much useful data, but doing other experiments and tracking their performance too, is by comparison, you're going to start to say, well, these 3 things are producing 80% of our results, and those things looks like we should keep them. These 10 other things, based on our results and observations and statistics, yes, we converted a new fan, or we got a few email subscribers, but these 10 things aren't really doing much. Maybe we could amp up these 3. These 3 experiments are kind of proven now. We keep doing more of these things. And here's the key point, like, because this is where a lot of people stop. It's like, and just keep doing those 3 things. No. Keep doing those 3 things and add another experiment, or add another 2 experiments to see if there's other things you're missing, you haven't tried, that could lead to even more amazing and incredible results. So this is music business talk. Everything I've talked about here, and there's so many more aspects to it, but I just wanted to kind of get the definition, get your mind rolling, get your engines flowing about this notion, this idea of a music business. It's, if you're an artist, it's actually really important to conceive of yourself as not an artist, because the number of places looking for artists is limited. There are only so many places that will welcome you in and say, well, that's great, you're an artist, I suppose we can collaborate. If you conceive of yourself as a business and conduct yourself as a business, don't you think other businesses could be interested in partnering with you, working with you, affiliating with you, sponsoring you? It's a different thing entirely. And it's about conduct. It's about how you're showing up. It's about how you're communicating. All those things factor in. But at the end of the day, it broadens your ability to create more opportunity. And isn't that the point? So conceiving yourself as a business, understanding that you are in the music business pretty much 99.9% of artists are. And we'll be generous and say 97%. The other 3% are semi-famous, famous, celebrity in that category, or semi-successful, or reasonably successful, are in the 3%. But pretty much everyone else is in this category of music business. Understanding that there are so many opportunities away from what is predominantly controlled by labels. Spotify is virtually owned by labels. Doesn't represent a great opportunity for you. Represents an okay opportunity for major artists for visibility and awareness and promotion. So understanding that your best opportunities, well, you're going to sit here all day and tell people to stream your thing on Spotify. I mean, go ahead and do that if you want to. But how many streams do you need to make $1? It's ridiculous. If you know what you're doing, you could go and sign a deal for $300, $400, $500 today, and that's not the limit. You could book a gig that pays your band $300, $400, $500 today. Which is more valuable? It's your connections. It's you understanding that you're a business. It's about you understanding that if you're a business, there are so many independent businesses, not just in music, but outside of music, outside of venues, that would be interested or willing to partner with you. If you can wrap around your mind around what makes you valuable and the valuable you bring to the table, and can communicate that to those venues, to those other businesses, you're going to find you have way more opportunities. This is what I've been pointing to all along. So the system is a tough place for you to thrive, but it is absolutely possible to thrive in the music business. No, you may not be signing a $50 million deal, but you can make a healthy 6-figure, 7-figure, maybe even 8-figure income if you just focus on partnerships that scale with you. You might start small, right? And that's what I mean by scale. If you're not known, if you don't have a lot of clout, but you've got a bunch of piss and vinegar and confidence, you go out, shake some hands, ask some questions, ask them what's important to them. And once you have a clear picture of what they're trying to do and how they're trying to do it, and you can find a way to fit in to their mold of what would be valuable to them, communicate that, and then ask for the opportunity to say, I think we can do this for you, or I think we would fit in nicely in this kind of situation, or how about, have you considered a launch event? We could play at the launch event. Those types of ideas begin to flow when you really ask these questions and listen. Ask questions and listen. That's how deals are formed in the music business. They're not formed generally by luck or chance. Yeah, okay. Even if you're not the best communicator in the world, even if you're somewhat selfish in your conversations, you'll be thrown the occasional bone. But you're going to do so much better if you listen, you ask questions. You listen and you ask questions. Well, how big is your how big is your average audience at your venue? How big would you like it to be? What sort of things have you tried? What is your marketing practices? Do you generally send people emails? Do you send, you ask these questions. You ask these questions and you care and you listen, and then you figure out where you can fit in and add value. That's how you create a 6, 7, 8-figure income in the music business without the need. Doesn't mean you can't if the opportunity arises, but without the need for the support from, the help from, the recognition from what is, let's just face it, a broken music industry. So I'm convinced, but I know you may not be convinced, that your biggest opportunities are in the music business. So I want you to, if you listen to this, I want you to think about it. I want you to stew on it. I want you to mull it over and see if what I said resonates. So that's it from me for today. This has actually been pretty fun. We'll see what we can cover, and do drop something in the chat or in the comments if there's something specific you'd like me to cover about music business in the future. And again, just give us discussion topics and come prepared next time to join in, ask questions, be a part of the conversation.